After seeing what we saw from the Lakers, Stephen A. Smith, do you think that the Lakers and the Blazers, this series is going to go to 7 games now?
I still believe that. I'm a little concerned about Damian Lillard because even though it's his non-shooting hand, it does affect how you catch, and it could potentially affect how you launch your shot, which means it ultimately affects your shot. So we got to keep a close eye on that. And I'm definitely, and Max Kellerman, especially you know how much I love my man Melo and how supportive I've been about him being back into this league. I've been very, very proud of what I've seen from him. But you cannot score 2 points in 26 minutes or whatever it was that he did with 1 of 6 shooting. I mean, their whole offense was anemic last night, and we get all of that. But, my God, that is very, very glaring. Nello, get that together, my brother. Get that together. Having said all of that, I'm still not concerned about this series going deep. I just think that Portland is explosive. Offensively, I think last night was an aberration. I still have the Lakers winning this series, but I don't expect blowouts, the equivalent of what we witnessed last night. I still think on too many nights it's going to be a struggle for the Lakers to hit perimeter shots. Anthony Davis can be Anthony Davis, no doubt, and LeBron can be LeBron, no doubt, and that's enough to win the series. But in terms of warding off Portland's offense and neutralizing them to the point that you did last night, where they seem incapable of really doing anything efficient offensively, I don't think that that's something that you can depend on happening as the series progresses. I see it going back and forth. I see the Lakers winning this series, but I think it's going to take at least 6 games, and I'm predicting it's actually going to take 7 games in order for them to pull it off, assuming that Dame his shot isn't affected too much from that, that dislocated finger on his left hand.
Okay. 1, I never thought the series was going to go 7 games. I think it's going to go at most 6 games. 2, that's because the Blazers don't play defense and the Lakers do. The Lakers even played pretty good defense in the first game. It's just the Blazers get so white hot sometimes. That's going to happen. But think of how hard the Blazers had to work to keep their head above water in that first game. The Lakers took a late lead. Like in the third quarter, Lakers had a little lead, and then Damian Lillard went game time and hit those. But it took a superhuman effort from Lillard, everyone hitting shots, a clutch 3 from Carmelo to take that first game. Now the Lakers stomp them out in the second game. The Lakers beat the brakes off the Blazers, and Lillard hurt his index. It hurt his finger on his left hand. Okay, still hurt his finger. I mean, that's bad news. Who's the best player on either team last night? Anthony Davis. And that's the key. Anthony Davis is the best player LeBron's ever played with. Respect to Dwayne Wade, but by the time LeBron got to Miami, we didn't know it when he first signed down there, but by the time he got there, Wade wasn't that same dude who won Finals MVP when he had Shaq. He was in decline. He wasn't quite the same player. And they had to figure out the chemistry, who was going to take the lead that first year, and then Wade was another year older the second year. So LeBron never really played with Wade in Wade's real prime. But AD is in his prime right now. And AD is an all-world defensive player and an all-world offensive player. So LeBron has never had a second banana like this. Really, more than AD's not so much a second banana. It's like 1 and 1A or 1A and 1B. LeBron you can always count on. A bad game for him in the playoffs. It wasn't always this way with him. But he has evolved into the kind of playoff performer, the postseason performer, where a bad game for him, he's damn good. A great game for him, he's the next thing to Michael Jordan in his prime, right? That's who LeBron is, so you know what you're getting. The question is, what's the second banana going to give you? What's the 1A guy going to give you? We saw this with the Clippers. When Paul George played big, they won that first game from the Mavs. Of course, they had the bogus Porzingis ejection still. Second game, Paul George went away. Clippers lose. How does AD going to play? Is he going to assert himself like he did last night? Lakers are going to win, I would say in 5. If AD plays like that, the Lakers are going to win the rest of the games. If not, they'll win in 6. But when one team can't play defense and the other can and has LeBron and another top 5 player, give me that team. Lakers 6 at the most.
Well, before the game started last night, if anybody would have told me that the Lakers would have won and LeBron James would have only had 10 points, I would have told them that they were crazy. But they jumped on the Portland Trail Blazers like a pack of hyenas. And they have been very good defensively on the Portland Trail Blazers. Matter of fact, They have guarded the Portland Trail Blazers better than anyone in the bubble thus far. So when I'm looking at this Laker team, they're hanging their hats on the defensive end, and they turned it up another notch last night. And by the way, much respect to Dame Dollar. He's been doing his thing. Much respect to LeBron James. But the best player in this series and the most talented player in this series is Anthony Davis. And the Portland Trail Blazers have no answer for him. We witnessed that last night. He dominated the game from top to bottom. On the offensive end, defensive end, I mean, he was inside the paint, offensive rebounding, shooting threes, face-up game, and God knows he hit him with that Kobe Bryant spin step back in the third quarter. It was so beautiful. I knew AD was on one because I called him. He didn't answer the phone, so I called his daddy. I said, "You talked to AD?" He said, "No, I haven't talked to AD. You talked to him? I was about to ask you the same thing." He said, "Uh-oh, Portland's in." And we knew that because we poked the bear. The media poked the bear. You better leave him sleep. This guy is a generational talent, one of one. To me, I wouldn't even call him a power forward because he don't even play like a power forward. But in today's game, Anthony Davis is the best big man, and Portland has no answer for him whatsoever.
Well, KP, first of all, here's where you're wrong. Here's where you're wrong, KP. There's absolutely nothing wrong with poking the bear. Because we all know how great Anthony Davis is. We've all recognized the fact that even though he's never been to a conference finals, let alone an NBA finals, that he's a top 5 player on the planet, considering the repertoire that he brings to the table. The issue is, where is it? You got to demand it. Now, in the postseason, throughout his postseason career, he's averaged over 30. So we know what he could do. The difference between him last night compared to what we saw pretty much during the 8 regular season games in the bubble or game 1 of this series is that he was engaging in too much finesse play, that he wasn't being a man amongst boys that he is. But he came out there. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.